Welcome to the FemiNinja Project. I am your host, Cheryl I Love, middle-aged ninja hiding in plain sight, dedicated to restoring human dignity one person at a time and helping you unleash your personal power. Discover that it's possible to look like a woman, act like a lady, move like a ninja, and think like a warrior. And remember, men are always welcome on the FemiNinja Project. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the FemiNinja Project. And thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And today's guest is truly an amazing lady. Her name is Cheryl Schuberth. She is an ambition and lifestyle coach, health and wellness advocate, social media mentor, a hiker, golfer, and adventure seeker. She is also a wife and mother of two boys and the author of the book, Mix, Measure, and Marinate: Embracing the Key Ingredients to a More Fulfilling Life. Cheryl, thank you so much for being here and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I just love the title of your book.
Thank you. You know, it took me a bit. I actually changed it after I finalized it, but I'm loving it too.
Okay, that's terrific. So I want you to just share your story, how you got to this point in your life where, you know, you're doing everything that you're doing with the ambition and lifestyle coaching, and how you got into the health and wellness. I don't want to say industry, but basically it is. Just a little bit about yourself and how you got the inspiration and the idea to write this book. And especially, like I said, that is such an intriguing title. So we got a lot to talk about.
Fantastic. Yeah. So I've been in the technology world, or I was in the technology world for over 25 years, where I was leading teams across all different types of functionalities. And I was not the technical expert, but I knew how to get people to work together and work with the executive team to help the teams get what they needed to move forward. I was really good at what I did, but I was missing out on my kids. I've been a working mom since they were born, and I realized I was starting to miss out on a lot of their lives. And so when actually 2 years ago, when I realized I had a little over a year left with my oldest son before I went to college, I decided I need to make a change in my career. So I resigned, and things aren't exactly as they were expected to be when I quit, but that's okay, because that is what life's all about, is setting an intention and then just adjusting as it goes based on what comes at you. During my corporate journey, my dad was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease at early onset. He was in his early 60s, and it really sent me, it was heartbreaking. It really sent me into a place of, well, how do I protect myself and my kids from that kind of a future? And so got really focused on nutrition and disease and prevention. And so I ended up in a health and wellness space as well, helping educate people and sharing solutions to help people live a more healthier life. And as a family, we went down that path as well. And so when I left my corporate career, that it not really resurfaced, but it became a more focal point for me in helping people have options and understanding how to take care of themselves from a prevention perspective, to help to create the life they want rather than reacting to illness, being able to be on a course of prevention and wellness. And last year, when the world shut down, I had these two teenagers at home, and we were trying to decide, well, it was kind of like, well, what do we want to do with this time? And so I had this brilliant idea to start these theme dinners as a family. And the idea was, once a week, we would pick a different region, and we would all make dinner together, and then maybe play a game or do something together, some family time, since nobody could go anywhere anyway. And it turned out to be about 3 to 4 months worth of dinners that we did. And along the way, I learned a lot about myself, and as I'd come out of that corporate career. And so that was the genesis of the book, was some of the things I learned as we cooked together in the kitchen, but then also mirrored with some of my things I learned in my corporate career, and what I wish I'd known then, but are things I want to instill in people now. And now my focus is really women, and helping women as an ambition and lifestyle coach working with ambitious women who know they have a passion that they can share. They know they have something good inside of them, but they have so many other things that they've said yes to that they can't figure out how to get from here to there. And so my goal is to empower them to reevaluate their priorities and learn some tools and practices that help them prioritize themselves and their gift so that they can serve at their highest level.
So I have a few questions for you. First of all, this isn't really a question, this is a statement. I love the fact that you were cooking as a family, but especially because you've got two boys, and there's going to be some girlfriends or maybe their wives in the future that are going to absolutely love you and thank you for that. So I just think that's a wonderful thing and an incredible skill that you've taught them.
Well, it's interesting. My youngest son started baking when he was 7. Like, he would make pizza dough and rolls, and my oldest had no interest in that. He'd make a box of mac and cheese or something. But I guess it was Valentine's Day this year, my oldest son decided to make ramen from scratch for his girlfriend. So we went to the Asian market and we got all the things, and it turned out fantastically. But I think it's everything we learned while we were cooking together. So I've already seen results. So I'm proud of that.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. Yeah, that's just so terrific. And what a creative way to spend quality time together during such an incredibly difficult and stressful time.
It was a good distraction. I can't say there wasn't some moaning and groaning, but that's what you get with teenagers. But it was great, and we had some amazing food. So it was all in all, it was great.
Well, there's a whole lot of moaning and groaning that went along with a lot of adults too at the time.
That's true.
It was not an easy year, so yeah, I'd cut them some slack for that. And the other thing is, I want to go back to when you were leaving your corporate position and going out on your own. Was there any fear around that, or was it just like, I am doing this and jumping in with both feet?
I've been talking about doing something other than that, or had been talking since my youngest was born. Like, I want to come home now. I want to stop working. But I was growing so much in my corporate career, it was hard to step away, and I was providing so much for the family at the same time. And I remember the moment when I decided to leave. I was presenting to the vice chairman of our company at 6 a.m. on a video call with a slide deck my boss had changed overnight and told me to present. And I was just like, okay, I'm done. That was it. So I resigned a couple weeks later, and I was not fearful. I was excited. I don't think I've been afraid the whole time. It's really just, I just need to be consistent and things will happen. But not really afraid, excited about the change in direction, I would say.
Well, I think we've all had those head smacking moments that it's like, why am I doing this? Or I can't do this anymore.
Exactly. That was it. And I have to say, my husband was incredibly supportive. I just said, okay, I'm ready now. And he just said, all right, we'll figure it out. And we have. So it was really great that he gave me that opportunity to step away and create something new.
Did you know ahead of time that you would be coaching, or that this was the area that you were interested in, because you did that so much in your corporate job that it was probably a natural segue? Or did you really have to think about what you wanted to do?
Well, as you mentioned, I did a lot of coaching in my corporate job. I was working in this health and wellness space. I was doing a lot of coaching with women as well. But I hadn't really thought about it as a service offering that I was going to provide. It's actually more recent that women have come to me and said, hey, will you coach me on this? Will you coach me on that? And it started to be like, okay, maybe I should do it more as a practice so that I can impact more people. And so that's when I got real specific about, ambitious women who know that there's something there for them. They just need to get through the obstacles. And that's really who I want to focus on. And really, I think I can help the most, given where I came from and understanding that challenge.
So is it more the focus on like their professional careers, their professional life, or is it every single aspect of their lives? Do you have women that come to you who are more concerned about maybe improving something in their personal life rather than professional, or is it just kind of like a whole package that's put together?
It's mostly women that know they were meant for great things. That could be setting up a volunteer organization. It could be, they have a skill they want to share with people. So I think it's professional in that way, but it really does involve the whole self and the whole
Right.
person and how you think. And so it's kind of training the mind to believe what you can do and helping you move forward. And so it applies to everything, but I'm focused really on women who just know that they are meant for great things. And that, let me say that again. We are all meant for great things, for women who believe it and women who are ready to do that. They just don't know how to move forward.
Mm-hmm. Well, mindset is huge. And even if, and I think all of us really are meant for greatness and want to achieve great things or accomplish great things. And, we might have the vision, we might have the drive, we might have the enthusiasm, but there's always that little negative self-talk that starts in the back of the head that we have to be so aware of and to be able to say, stop it.
Absolutely. I mean, negative thoughts are so detrimental. And, positive words are 10 times more powerful than negative thoughts.
Ooh.
Negative words are 40 times more powerful than negative thoughts. So the way you speak to yourself, the way you talk to yourself is huge.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I tell that to my clients all the time. It's like, be careful what you tell yourself. Mm-hmm. And it's not like we aren't being bombarded with negative messages from, media or outside sources or from other people. And if we do it to ourselves, it's like we have to be really vigilant not to do that because it takes us down a really bad path.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so it's just, you have to be intentional every day about how you want to think and how you want to feel.
Yeah. And it's very self-sabotaging too. You just don't want to do that.
Absolutely.
So as far as intentional, because I'm very intrigued by a lot of the things that you do, because I'm a mover, but you're an athlete.
Yes. Yes, I've been an athlete my whole life. Outdoors, I love the outdoors.
Mm-hmm. And it's the hiking, the golfing, and adventure seeking. Tell us about the adventure seeking. What type of adventure really appeals to you?
I'll tell you a little story. So on my honeymoon, we were in Hawaii and we rented a Suzuki Samurai and we're just driving around the island. And there was this hill that my husband was getting nervous about. And I was like, it's fine, so just kind of adventure. And like, I'm a calculated risk taker, but I don't shy away from things that might be new or outside the box but I remember that conversation. He's like, these things tip over easy. I'm like, oh, it's fine. We're just gonna be fine, right? So I'm not always seeking risk to adventure that might be harmful to myself, but I do love to travel. I'll try just about any kind of food. I do just love learning about culture and different things. And I think that's where adventure comes in. It's always new. It's always something new. I heard a quote one time that said, life begins at the edge of your comfort zone. And I totally believe that because we can stay comfortable and we could be really good at it, but it's not exciting. It's not challenging. You're not growing if you're staying in that little bubble. And so I think the adventure seeking for me is the fact that you have to be ready to learn something new and grow in order to really experience that new thing.
Well, like you said, getting out of your comfort zone offers so many opportunities to learn not only new things, but to learn about yourself too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's the biggest, a lot of people are afraid to learn about themselves. They're comfortable with who they are or at least where they are, right? Because that's hard when you learn about yourself and you're like, ooh, I don't like that part of me, or I need to change that part of me. And that's where the adventure comes in. It's like, okay, I this is feeling good. This is feeling okay. You can kind of navigate that.
Well, I think even some people might not be comfortable with where they're at or not completely happy, but at least it's kind of like, but I know this.
Right.
And when you try to really extend yourself or try new things, it is scary.
Absolutely. It is. For me, it's thrilling, but I've moved 3 times to a new city without a career, without a job in front of me. And we just figured it out when we got there. And I think part of it is confidence. You need to have the confidence that you can figure things out. You can respond to whatever you find outside your comfort zone. And, it's just being ready and prepared to say, I might not know it, and that's okay. I'll figure it out when I get there.
So tell us a little bit more about the book, because I'm really curious. When we first met, and this was kind of pretty much in the thick of things, it was in the thick of the pandemic, and we were still trying to figure things out. And you were telling me about cooking with your boys and making this a family affair. And I just thought that was such a great idea. And the more you were talking about it, I think I even asked you, is like, this could be a book someday. You could write a cookbook.
Right. Actually, it was funny. I was posting the photos of it on social media every week, and a friend of my husband said that. He said, you should write a book. And I'd always wanted to write a book. I just didn't know what I wanted to share. And so this was just a great opportunity, because it was like journaling my whole experience of leaving the corporate career and working through those emotions and spending the time with the kids. So it was kind of all wrapped together. But so the book is, I do talk about our dinners. I do include some of the recipes of the things we cooked, not all of them, but pretty much one per chapter. And then I talk about, some things that are somewhat related from my corporate experience, but it's kind of got a food theme. All the chapters have food headings and things like that. So, but all just around just cooking up your life in an intentional way. And what you put in is just as important as what you keep out, in order to grow and be the person you want to be and have the life that you want to have.
The analogy of junk food versus healthy, nutritious food. Whatever you put in is going to come out.
Exactly. Yep.
So you do work with women as far as the ambition and lifestyle coach. Are you still working with women in the health and wellness area too, or do you combine the two, or how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you don't feel your best, you can't be your best, right? And so I do offer health and wellness products to women as well, based on what they need based on their stage of life, because I think sometimes we get tripped up on, going through our, through the different stages, and we don't really realize how we need to accommodate and to make ourselves feel better and even look better. When you don't like the way that you look, and when you look at yourself in the mirror, it can bring you down. So sometimes there's a beauty aspect to it, but it's a confidence element. But it's really about feeling your best, which a lot of times is just being comfortable with how you look, how you feel. And so just helping women with options to feel their best so they can be their best.
And I think that's been a particular challenge over the past year plus months, because of the pandemic, and it's put so much of a strain on all of us. And then all of a sudden we're Zooming so much, and the self-image, the looking at yourself all the time. I mean, it's really been quite a challenge.
Absolutely. I'm helping a lot of women just deal with, some of the COVID weight. Now they're exercising again more consistently, and their joints are achy. So just helping them work through some of those issues so that they can get back to where they want to be.
Yeah, I've been doing ballet in my basement for the past year. And
nice.
Oh, kind of. Yeah, it's really, it's a short commute. So, I don't have to worry about putting on makeup, don't have to even worry about putting on deodorant. I just come down the stairs and there I am. But it is a cement floor over a thin layer of linoleum. And I did invest in a floor that it's a professional floor that it has some like a shock absorption quality, and it is meant to go over cement. But let me tell you, it's not quite the same as being on a raised dance floor. So it's like, I have to be very, very aware about the jumping and stuff. So yeah, it's been a challenge. I mean, Absolutely. It's just, like you said, it's constantly adjusting, learning, and adapting to your environment, because things do change.
Absolutely. And I picked up hiking, I guess, more seriously a couple years ago, like right before the pandemic, shortly after I had resigned. And I got involved with some really incredible hiker. They call them the Boulder hiker chicks. They just love to go out and hike together. And we've conquered some great peaks, and 17 miles in a day with 6,000 feet of elevation and things like that I didn't want to do. I had no intention, but somebody asked me to, and so I said, fine, I'll do it. Fine, and we trained, and it was fantastic. But just a great accomplishment to do that. With some amazing people, right? Doing it with
what a wonderful way to get not only exercise, but socialization at the same time.
Absolutely. Hiking was so huge during the last year when just
Oh,
being
I'll bet.
outside was the only option. Right.
Right, right. Yeah, I don't really like, I mean, I tell people that I'm a physical therapist that hates exercise and thinks that chocolate is food because I just, the thought of going to a gym makes me break out in hives. I just can't do it. But if I'm with a bunch of people, like that's why I love ballet and Pilates and martial arts, all the things that I do. But with the pandemic, I couldn't do any of that. So that was particularly challenging. But there is something about the socialization, and when you're doing something and sharing a passion with other people who have that same passion, it's just exponential benefit from doing whatever it is that you're doing.
Absolutely. And it drives you to do it more.
Exactly, exactly. And that brings me to another question. Have you done a 14er yet?
I've done a few. Yeah, I've done, I think maybe 5 or 6. A couple of them I've done twice.
Oof.
So I don't know if one's in my summer, maybe. But
Mhm.
last year I did the Grays and Tories, the
Mhm.
duo here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. And I'll have to say, what I'm learning is a lot of the more local peaks in Boulder, there's so many great trails. They're just as challenging, just as fun as some of the 14ers. They're just not as far away.
Mhm. So for those people in the audience who are listening to this right now, a 14er is a 14,000 foot peak. That's above the tree line. It's incredibly grueling, but rather exhilarating at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, Grays and Tories we did last year, and we hit snow, which we hadn't expected. One peak was freezing, the other one was gorgeous, even though they're just right next to each other. So yes, you never know what you're going to get.
You never do. So your timing in leaving your corporate job and starting your own gig is pretty interesting because it seems like you quit right before the pandemic hit.
Yeah, I resigned about 2 years ago, and then I ended up coaching with the company. They'd asked me to come back as a coach for half
Oh,
time.
nice.
So I was coaching with
Nice.
them for about a half time, and that was ending right as the pandemic started. And so, yeah, the timing was great. Just I'm going cold turkey from my corporate job. Might have been tough, just given how intense it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that helped me transition out. But it was great to then not have to have that on my plate anymore and just focus on my boys and making sure they had what they needed, and figuring out how to stay a family unit and not
Mm-hmm.
kill each other while we were stuck together for all
Right.
that time. So
Now, has your oldest son started college
he
now,
starts in
or
the fall. He'll
he
be at
starts in the
CU
fall?
this fall. Mm-hmm.
Oh, CU. Excellent. My alma mater. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Great. Great. So he'll be still local at home.
Yes, he's going to live on campus, but he will be close enough so we can make sure he's doing okay.
Oh, that's nice. That probably gives you a little bit of comfort.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So what pearls of wisdom could you drop on our listeners?
I would say, I guess a couple things. Maybe I'll just talk about, so my website is called key-ingredients.com. And I list on there 5 things that I think are important to really consider. The first one is, balance. Balance is really hard. And I think that's why women specifically are just don't prioritize themselves, because they have so many other plates in the air that it's really hard to, we always seem to help someone else first before we help ourselves, right? We need to listen to what the flight attendants tell us, is put your mask on first and then help the other people.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we aren't well, if we don't have the energy, if we're not taking care of ourselves, we can't take care of anybody else well, our kids, our families, our clients, whoever that is. But we need to take care of ourselves, and that means getting the balance we need in order to do that. The next one is what we talked a little bit about mindset, but the thoughts that you have, the information that you put into your brain, the news, the books you read, the podcasts, whatever those are, those impact how you act and how you think. And so those are really, you need to be really intentional about what those are. Nutrition, we talked a little bit about that. What you're putting in your body changes how you feel. And it changes how you're able to engage with others, as well as just exercise and all of those things. But it does have a difference in even how well you think. And so you just need to be mindful of nutrition and what you're putting in your body, and adding where you're not getting enough. We don't never get it all ourselves. So we have to figure out how to balance that out. The influences, who do we surround ourselves with, right? I mean, they say that you're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most, but Are those the right people for you, right? Are they the people that are supporting you, are telling you when you should not be doing what you're doing, are giving you the right information? Are they the people that are really have your back and that you can really rely on to help get you to the next level? Because sometimes we need to cut ties and say, you know what, I've served you as much as I can and you've served me as much as I can. Now we need to move on into, because we're growing in different ways. And so we need to be mindful of that. And then the last thing is all about movement. And my favorite is outside, just because it's more variety. But you know, movement just, and that changes as you go through phases of life as well. And just being aware of what that means for you, given where you are. And, you know, whatever exercise you will do is the one you should do, because people are, you know, like, well, should I do this or that? Well, which one will you do? Do that one, right? Rather than one that sounds great, but you're never going to do it. So, but movement is huge. It's huge stress reliever. It's great for your mind, your body, and just overall longevity.
Yeah, I tell people to find something that they really love and find maybe 2 or 3 things so you don't get bored and have a little bit of variety. But to do something just because you think you should do it, and if you hate it, life is way too short. There were so many other things out there that you can do.
Right, exactly. And I know for me, especially like this last year, I mean, I was at a gym and I was going to the classes and I was trying to be as tough as the 30-year-olds, right? I'm 50. And I'm like, I've always been tough. I can do this. And I was trying to be as tough as they are. And I get pretty close. But, you know, as we get older, like the stress levels, the cortisol actually has a negative impact on our ability to maintain the proper weight. So if we're working too hard and overdoing it for where we are in our life, then that's actually it's not a good thing for us. So we need to be mindful of that and just engage in the things that are appropriate for your phase and your current lifestyle and your current wellness.
And keeping those joints healthy. That's
absolutely. That's a big one. Yep.
So is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
You know, I just say just be intentional. You know, I think every day you get to decide how you feel. And if you don't set that intention, then the first thing you look at or read or somebody talks to you, they're going to set that intention for you. So get up earlier than that. Don't look at your phones and the news before you do that, and just decide and how you're going to feel for the day, and then go on your way.
Awesome. So how can people find you?
So they can find me I mentioned my website. That's key-ingredients.com. On Instagram, it's at Cheryl Schuberth, and that has an H on the end, at Cheryl Schuberth. And on LinkedIn as well, Cheryl Schuberth, there also.
Okay. Well, Cheryl, thank you so much for being here. It has been delightful.
Thank you very much. It was wonderful, and I appreciate the time.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. And make sure you check out Cheryl's website. If you have any questions, contact her and see if she can help you out. She is a wealth of information, and really check out her book. I think that's going to be a game changer. I can't wait to get my hands on it and try some of the recipes. And that is the way of the FemiNinja. And that's a wrap on another episode of the FemiNinja Project. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, be safe, be strong, and until next time, bye now.